my broader thing is that food is a community thing. Look at like an Anthony Bourdain. He made his career out of showing how food brings people together.
Right.
And my wife and I love to travel. Everywhere we go, we try to stop in at a little butcher shop, a little bakery, a little restaurant that's because it is something that everyone in the world eats. So if you want a conversation starter, you could start a conversation with food and with somebody in Azerbaijan.
It's as common as talking about the weather. Welcome back to the Lead Lamp Podcast. This week, I think we have, like we were just talking, I think it's our oldest business on our podcast yet. So 1889, Weavers of Wellsville was started. And then now we're here on the 6th generation. I'm talking with Seth Weaver. Fifth.
Yes.
Sorry. Anyways, yeah, we're on the 5th generation of Weavers now. And I'm talking with Seth Weaver from Weavers of Wellsville. So thanks for coming on, and I appreciate your time today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So, sorry, go right ahead. Give us like a real brief overview of Weavers of Wellsville, and then we're going to dive into, or you can just morph it into how you grew up in the business, because a lot of family involved in the business, and it's just a local staple in like northern and central York County. So I have a lot of questions about it.
Yeah. So as you said, we might be the longest tenured business you have on here.
Yeah.
But I would say that our business today is probably unrecognizable to my great-great-grandfather who started it back in 1889. The business was started when he purchased a farm just outside of Wellsville, Pennsylvania. Wellsville is a town that even today only has about 300 residents. So
if you blink,
if you blink, you miss it. And honestly, people who live right near Wellsville don't know where Wellsville is. But the town has a lot of history as a manufacturing town. It was started up around a leather factory, which, among other things, the real jumping off point was they had contracts for whips for the Union Army during the Civil War. So it was a town with a lot of factory workers living in an area. It was planned out. If you still go to it to this day, you can see
it's like a company town.
Yes, you can see that it is a company town. And he came in, and they didn't have a butcher at the time, so he bought this farm. He opened a small butcher shop downtown. That butcher shop is still standing today on the same property that we're at with Weavers of Wellsville. We've remodeled it into a conference room, but
probably doesn't look the same anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't look the same, although the outside does. So that was the start of Weavers of Wellsville. Every small town back then needed a butcher, and he was that. Over the years, it expanded into a little more of a wholesale operation. The early history is a little murky, because I always kind of tell people, I don't think that Jake, my great-great-grandfather, started a business thinking one day my great-great-grandson's going to be sitting in Camp Hill on a podcast,
right,
talking about the history.
They didn't even know those were words.
Yes, yet. Exactly. Yeah. So early on, it was a farm. It was a slaughterhouse. It was your place. You go in, buy some meat for the day. There are pictures that start surfacing when my great-grandfather and his brother took over.
Okay.
My great-grandfather, I don't know his exact age, but he was young he fought in World War I. So I would say he was probably born somewhere around 1900, just given where the timeline would fall for that. He and his brother, you can see pictures where they're selling canned goods. It's become more of a little bit of a store.
Okay.
There was a dry goods store right up the road, so it wasn't necessarily your everyday store, but they had a little more offerings beyond the meat.
Okay.
And that's where they started to get into. They would deliver door to door. Kind of my best, equating that I go to is if you had the Schwan man growing up. They would show up at your door, sell right off their truck. And that sort of led into my grandfather, Ken Weaver. Him and his brother Pete ran it for a while, doing that type of thing. They also had a farmer's market stand down in York, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So that was a big part of our business. And then from that farmer's market stand, that's where the wholesale aspect started to expand. So they would cut meat, cut steaks for local restaurants. A lot of their focus was on the social clubs. So your VFWs, American Legions, there's a lot, Order of the Moose, Order of the whatever animal you can think of. And we do still do some of that business today, but a lot of that was based on having that central location in York where they were able to meet the different people around York. Under those two is when we really started to standardize the recipes. So we're a smoked meats manufacturer. That's one big division of our company. That's where they started to standardize the recipes. They had products that they were trying to sell to other grocery stores. It's not really profitable to drive around a niche item to grocery stores around the area. So there's sort of one of two directions that companies can take. And there's been a lot of food manufacturers around Pennsylvania, and you see some that have gone our direction, some that have gone the other. One direction you can take is to find a distributor to take your product around for you. The other is to find other products that you can put on your truck so that your truck becomes profitable.
And then you're a distributor.
You're a distributor, yes. And that's the direction we took. And actually today, about 90% of our revenue is distributing for other companies. This would have been really my dad's generation. He and his brother were partners for years. So we're talking mid 70s into the 80s, where they would start off. I always tell people it's sort of the same concept today that it was back then. It was, what can I take that's unique, or where are these large distributors making higher margins than they should be?
Gotcha.
So he always says it kind of started off with your real staple items like American cheese and the rectangle cooked ham. I know you got a little bit of a deli background, so you know what I'm talking about. You probably sold it for $1 a pound at a point.
It was the cheap ham.
Cheap ham. Yeah. Well, the cheap ham, the distributors were selling the cheap ham for more than they should have been, and the cheap cheese for more than they should have been.
So he found an opportunity to
swoop in there. You could buy large amounts of it. Its shelf life was, an American cheese is made with a 1-year shelf life. So what my dad would say was he would buy a whole tractor trailer load of American cheese, which today I can sell that in a week if I try. Back then it's got a year. We've got a year to sell this, but we're going to undercut them and do that. And that concept really is held through to today. It's, what can we put onto a truck that our larger competitors either are making too high of a margin on, or that's unique. And today, Weavers of Wellsville distributes to, I always mess up my state count. I want to say it's 6 states. I'll list them. How's that?
Okay.
We distribute to Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland, Delaware, West Virginia, and the District of Columbia.
Okay, so kind of if it's touching our border in like the south and east, basically. Yeah,
so essentially we're looking at about a 150-mile radius from Wellsville, Pennsylvania, which Wellsville, I mentioned being a small town, it sits about 25 minutes south of here. Central Pennsylvania, people watching this, it's Dillsburg's our closest, it's between Dillsburg and Dover. But yeah, about 150 miles. Now it gets a little bit, we have all day, 1-day truck drivers. So it's, what can they do? What can they deliver in a day?
Yeah. What's their reach?
Yes. What's their reach? So when you get into Philadelphia area, you hit more traffic. That becomes a little harder. Whereas like we can go further distance towards, say, Pittsburgh, because you're driving 75 mile an hour, going out that way. But we sell to about 500 independent retailers, ranging from supermarkets, specialty stores, butcher shops, bakeries. We have a pretty large bakery division. I might have mentioned farmers markets already, and then like agritourism type places. So your orchards and things like that. Those are sort of our core customers, mostly refrigerated and frozen foods. On the other end, we've continued to grow our manufacturing business with our smoked meat products. We are in every Wise Market store. We're in about 35 giant company stores, not Giant Foods. That's the Maryland one.
Yeah.
The strict distinction there. And then again, we're in a lot of these independent markets with it. And we do private label. Actually, our furthest customer with our products is I forget which national park it is. It's one of the national parks in Alaska. I want to say it's the one that does Fat Bear Week. If that's
like Denali,
is it? No, it's not Denali. It's one of the ones down south.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah. So we have that going, and then we still have our butcher shop. We've expanded that in 2023. We doubled the size of that. We took part of our current building, shifted some things around, and made that into more of a butcher shop plus little general store.
Yeah.
And then in 2024, we opened a sister business, Locals Market, which is a specialty grocer in Dillsburg.
Okay.
And that's been taking up a lot of our time.
Is that the one?
You go ahead.
Excuse me for asking. Is that the one that's off 15, kind of catty corner from the Sheets?
Yeah.
Down south a little bit?
Yeah. It's just across. It's across from 84 Lumber. Yeah, catty corner from Sheets. Yep. So we've been open since March of 2024 there. That we tried to for that, the concept is there's not a lot of Wegmans, Trader Joe's coming to towns like Dillsburg,
right?
But there are a lot of really neat independent stores that we deal with throughout those states that I mentioned earlier that are in towns like Dillsburg, and it kind of got jealous of these other places and thought, let's put our own.
You're kind of identifying it's a large enough market for local like a local shop like that, but it's not big enough. It's too small for a brand like Trader Joe's or whatever they're going to overlook that.
Yes,
like
100%.
Yeah.
And I mean, being honest, if we were to come at it from hey, let's open a store, without our connection to Dillsburg, we probably would have been also looking at a Mechanicsburg, Camp Hill, Lancaster type thing. But there are a lot of independent stores in towns like Dillsburg that do really well. And, we wanted to give that a shot too.
It becomes like a hub then.
Yeah.
For that smaller town.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what so the concept behind Locals Market is, these large chains come in, they dominate a town. Dillsburg, we started looking around at areas comparable to Dillsburg, similar population. And we kind of used being out here in semi-rural Pennsylvania, school districts are a little more of the judge of the community that, cause like Cumberland Valley School District, for instance, that's not a town, but it is a community. So we looked at within the different school districts around our area, the comparable ones to us, like Northeastern Dover, places like that, all had at least 2 supermarkets and at least 1 smaller grocery store, whereas Dillsburg had giant.
Right.
So it was an opportunity for us to kind of give the town back something that's theirs. We wanted to put it in the town so that there's walkability.
Right.
When
there's like there's 2 parts of Dillsburg.
Yes.
In my eyes.
So the commercial part. Yes.
There's like Dillsburg, and then which is where you guys are now with the shop. But then you have like Dillsburg, which is where the giant is, or like the outskirts of Dillsburg.
Exactly.
And people aren't looking necessarily to go that far out. If they are in town, it's convenient for them right there.
100%.
And it adds to that local, like this is our kind of like planting your flag, basically. Like, this is our shop here.
Well, and there's a lot of talk about revitalizing downtowns. And I mean, I'm not going to sit here and claim like we're doing something great for Dillsburg, because we are doing it as a business venture to try but I really feel like being able to buy food in a town is one of the core things you need to have a town. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. It's like, even though it is a business, it's still being, I mean, when I see stuff like that, knowing it's a business, it still brings that community feel back together a little bit. Like, well, no, that's our shop. Like, that's our store.
Exactly. And I mean, one example that I always come to is there's 2 regular shoppers we have who are legally blind. But now legally blind, they're both very able to see and navigate through, but they can't drive. They're in my store almost every day because they live in town. They try to walk for everything they can do. They're able to get their dinner at an affordable, fresh food at a reasonable price.
Right. They don't have to DoorDash it for $35.
And I appreciate everyone in the industry. So I don't mean to say this in a negative way, but Dollar Generals have really taken over the towns. And I appreciate what Dollar General offers.
They have a place.
They do. Right. They do. And I'm not going to sit here and say, but towns need more than a Dollar General, unless you're looking at the ones who are offering produce and stuff like that too, which there are some. But I mean, you need
it, but it still doesn't feel like it's going to offer me like any kind of sustenance. It's a cold.
You're getting a frozen burrito.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I go in there if I'm in a pinch, we got to get toilet paper or, whatever in a pinch, but it doesn't have like a local touch with it, or like I'm going to go there and thrive at a Dollar General.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. I mean, our Dollar General in Wellsville at least has a produce section, but even there, it's like you're getting potatoes and onions, you know, and that's
some bananas.
Exactly. And again, it serves a purpose. That's not an insult to them, but you're not able to go and build a recipe out of something like that. Right. So, and actually Dillsburg used to have 2 grocery stores downtown. We'll go back to Weavers of Wellsville. That was the first customers of our smoked meats products, where it was the one grocery store, Ross's IGA. I had to think this was long before my time, but it's now a hardware store in Dillsburg, but it was,
I know where you're talking about.
You know where I'm at? Yep. So, okay.
And the other one was,
Myers.
The Myers. Yeah.
Yep.
And then Giant moved too, though.
Giant moved from one end of the strip to the other.
It was weird.
So so you're familiar with the food world.
And when I grew up, I was in Mechanicsburg, but I grew up in Messiah College, basically in
Grantham area. Yeah.
So
we used to have to drive to your Giant up there off Cumberland Park.
Yeah.
So I know. Yep.
And that was back when 15 had red lights, no overpasses. Yeah.
We still have red lights in Dillsburg. Here's a little fun fact for your viewers here. If you leave Syracuse, let me flip it backwards. If you leave Miami and drive to Syracuse, the only red lights you're going to hit the whole way are Dillsburg, Pennsylvania.
On 15.
If you take the most direct route, now if you come down from Syracuse to Miami, you hit the ones out here right out here in Camp Hill.
Right. Yeah.
But they're all right.
So Pennsylvania's the only one that's stopping you.
Exactly.
I never thought of it. I never knew that.
Oh yeah.
Hey, there we go.
81 to 581 to 15 to 270 to 95.
And there's like 6 red lights all in a 30-mile stretch.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
All right. So, hey, let's go into kind of your origin story at Weaver's. So we were talking a little bit before the show started. Let's go backwards into like, mini Seth.
Yeah.
And, kind of what you remember from the early days of being involved in it. And I know there were jobs you did that no one wanted.
Yeah.
Because that's just how kids in a family business are. But like, let's start with that and you kind of evolve it into like what you're doing now.
All right. Well, I hope that the statute of limitations is passed for child labor violations for my dad and my uncle and grandpa. Well,
I was through it too. So I feel you.
So no. So I grew up in it, and the growth of our business, when I was young, there were less than 5 non-family employees. Today we have about around 75 at Weaver's of Wellsville. And probably 25, including part-timers over at Locals Market. So, now with that said, one of our employees at Weaver's of Wellsville that was hired the same year I was born is still working.
So you got
alongside me. So there's
a bunch of people, but then you have a bunch of long-timers.
Yes,
too.
Exactly. So growing up, there was a lot of extra work to do. And, some of the earliest jobs I would do is our packaging used to be a sticker on a clear bag that got vacuum sealed. I would put stickers on bags. I know that my dad always talks about it was like a penny a bag that he would pay to do the stickers. I don't know. I can't remember exactly if that was me or my cousins that was getting that penny a bag, or if I was doing it an hourly, or if I was just doing it because he asked me to. But my first real memories of working around there was, I guess statute of limitations on recalls should be brought up here too, because we would go down at night when packaging didn't quite get done for the day. And my brother and I, he's 2 years older than me, we would put products in bags, run them through the packaging machine, and get them ready for the next day. From there, I was at a point able to use the hamburger patty machine, which that machine still is at our place. And I've joked over the years that if anybody's ever seen the movie Office Space, where they take the printer out back and they beat it, if there's ever any reason that I leave Weaver's of Wellsville, that machine's coming with me out into a field with a baseball bat.
You take some vengeance out on it. Yeah.
So it would always jam up. It would always, and we used to actually make hamburgers for Williams Grove Speedway. That was nice. That was one of our big customers back then. So I would do that. By the time I was about 12, I started working at our farmers market stand down in York. That was when I was able to see over the counter. So from the time I was 12, kind of similar to your background, I was probably not slicing meat, but I was serving meat over the counter.
They didn't let me touch a slicer. I think you had to be 16 or something.
I think you had to be 16, but I don't think we got serious about that until after. I feel like I was using it around 14 or so, but I can't quite remember on that. But there was the saw they wouldn't let me use till I was 18. The
understandable
thing. But so I was working at our farmers market stand down there, and I was also helping to assemble some orders. A lot of stores where, hey, we want 2 pieces of this, 5 pieces of that. I was doing a lot of that work in around the plant there in Wellsville. So I kind of, growing up, I don't want to say I wasn't 100% certain that I wanted to go into the family business. I was looking at a business that had, 5 to 10 employees. It was growing, but I didn't really know if, where was the ceiling, I guess.
Well, and the other part of it is, which you look at it as a business side of it when you get a little older. Yeah. But then you also look at it as like, it was just part of your life. Yeah. But like, I want to do things too. And there's that struggle when you're trying to figure out what you want to do when you're a late teen. Yeah. Figuring out where am I going to go to college. And you go through that. You're like, well, that's like, I grew up around that. Like I maybe want to do something else. I'm sure you had some of that in your head as well. Oh, I do. And I still do. There's still, there's still the part that's like, well, what if I had gone and done this, know, especially kind of, I'm 36 right now. As my friends mature in their careers, there's definitely that thought of like, I had it way better than them right out of college because I was coming in a leadership role. But now look at what they're doing. Like, man, Buzz is launching rockets into space and I'm over here, so that type of thing. So, I mean, definitely. But around the time I was 15 or 16, they started investing in bringing in some people with outside experience to really grow our business. So our distribution company, when I was in high school,
didn't go much further than Lancaster.
Okay.
And even that, we weren't strong out that way. We were very, we grew around like the Chambersburg area. So that in that direction, we went a little bit, Chambersburg, Hagerstown, but we were very kind of hemmed in,
right.
And we brought in someone with a lot of experience, 2 people actually that I think really pointed us in the direction we're in right now. There was a guy who had worked for, he had run his own food distribution company that sold, and then he worked for a major beef producer. I'm drawing a blank on whether he came from Cargill or IBP, but one of the big ones. And there was another gentleman who had run, he had been like I don't know his title. He was operationally running Hershey Meats, which was part of the Hershey company that they closed down. And he had gone and taken another job, and then came to us to sort of expand our growth. And the 2 of them started the process of expanding us out across Pennsylvania, deeper into Maryland, that type of thing. So when I saw that happening, it kind of let me think like, okay, there might be like, this could become something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say that throughout high school, there was every thought that went through my mind from maybe I want to be a doctor. Maybe I want to, be a merchant marine. Maybe I don't even, I don't know. Like every kid playing astronaut.
Yeah.
I would say the only thing that I really looked seriously at was the medical field. And when I say seriously, I mean like, digging into some programs, what does it take? What's the talking to some people who have been through it. But even that, it kind of, I'd say by the time I was 15 or 16, I decided to go into this business. So I went away to Clemson University for a degree in agribusiness. Essentially, it had a big long name, applied economics and statistics with an agribusiness focus. But
agribusiness is
good. Yeah. So I was down there for 4 years at Clemson University. Great time, made a lot of connections that I still use to this day. Graduated from there in 2012. I should back up. I'm a 2008 Northern High School graduate. So I've lived in Dillsburg. I mentioned Dillsburg with locals. I've lived between Dillsburg and Wellsville.
You went real far.
Yeah.
Other than college.
I just this year moved into the 3rd real house I've ever lived in my life. And it was, the one I grew up in, my first house, and now, where I'm at now. And I joked that I moved from South Dillsburg to Central Dillsburg, and now I'm in North Dillsburg. So it's all, I'm not far from Grantham is where I'm at now. But yeah, so I went to Clemson, came back to 2012. I really took a role in business development. My brother took more of like an operations lead when he came out, taking, the stress off of my dad, overseeing production, overseeing the warehousing, things like that. I started looking for, okay, we're in Lancaster. Should we be going to, Downingtown? We're in Downingtown. Should we go into Philly? And
you were kind of investigating markets.
Yeah.
Just testing them out, I'm sure.
Yeah. So I spent, the first few years, and I continue to spend, expanding our distribution business, looking for, here in the Harrisburg area, a great example of a grocery store we do business with is Carnes Foods. So it was like, we do great business with Carnes Foods. You had mentioned the West Shore market. We do great business with LD Weaver and Schaefer's Meats in the West Shore market. We do great business with some of the orchards like, Paulus Mountain area orchards, things like
the ones with the little stands.
Yes. Yeah. So it started to be, let's go to another town and let's find their Carnes. Let's find their LD Weaver. Let's find their, and so I first sort of turned my focus onto the northern Philadelphia suburbs, built out some business in Montgomery County, Bucks County, stuff like that. I then looked down towards like the Baltimore way. We were going into, Southern York County. There's a lot of independent business down around Baltimore. So I sort of simultaneously was growing up those 2 markets. And then over the years, I would hire salespeople to live there.
Like regional salespeople.
Regional salespeople. Yeah. So I have a couple of those. At this point, I talk early career and stuff. I mean, I don't want to say only, but I'm only 13 years into my full-time career. So like this building is still continuing to go on, but it was always sort of, what's the next town? What's the next thing? Growth. Now, last year we took a little bit of a leap of faith, and hired someone in the Pittsburgh area. There's not a lot of population between us and Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Once you leave, like I'm thinking about the turnpike, like once you leave like Carlisle Ship and then go west through the tunnels.
Yep.
Until you get past like Bedford, even farther west, there's nothing.
There is. And that's what, so we hired a rep in
shouldn't say nothing. There's some great people out there.
Well, no, but what actually surprised me was there's way more than we thought once we got to going. So we hired a sales rep in Latrobe and said, hey, there's a million people or whatever in the Pittsburgh area. Let's start growing that and let's work our way back. But we're actually finding a lot of opportunities again in sort of those towns that are left behind by the big chains in the area around Altoona, Johnstown, Somerset, those types of places. Are there towns,
and I don't know, so I'm just asking, are there towns, I would imagine, in that stretch between basically the tunnels and Pittsburgh, as you're closing the gap, that you find that are kind of what Dillsburg in our area used to be, where there's smaller independent shops, and then you're kind of filling in the gap with those?
Yeah, 100%.
So they're
down in Western Maryland.
They're 20 or 30 years back where they're not getting change yet. You don't have a Y store or a whatever, and they're still local independent grocers.
Yes.
Or whatever.
Yeah, we're finding a lot of that. And also you'll find the more discount chains, Save-A-Lots, those types of places out there. Again, Dollar Generals and stuff like that. I mean, you do. The reality of it is that area is economically behind our area. And that, I don't want to say that in a derogatory way. It is a reality. It's
industry.
It's a lot of, you get into the areas around Cumberland, Maryland. That was a thriving city that, as industry moved overseas, really, took a hit. So, so you do end up with a bit of a lower income and stuff out there, but you're right. You're finding places where, hey, this butcher shop has been here for 50 years, 100 years. And, those are the customer base out there. So that's sort of that's sort of the history of Weavers of Wellsville.
The one interesting thing that you brought up that I never thought of before was you were talking about, I think you said agritourism.
Yes.
Where I think we just have it in our area, so I don't think about it, but you have the Paulus orchards, and you have these places that, they have a corn maze and a petting zoo and a farm market, in a small kind of pole barn style thing. That's littered the whole way through our area.
Oh yeah.
Out where I live, there's 3 or 4. I'm in the Newville ship area.
Yeah.
But they're everywhere. You kind of I don't see them just because I know they're there. I stop at them a couple times a year, but I think we're in an area where you have a lot of agriculture and people are interested in it. And we're not far from Philly or Hagerstown or DC or Baltimore or these bigger areas where that's popular to go to, especially in the fall when they market. That's their big time. They market big events or big attractions then. But that's a niche that I never even thought of going into. I think it's just because I'm blind to it, because they're all through our area.
Well, and another thing in our area, we do draw tourists, but they do a great business in our area. But some of these just spin my head when you get close to Philadelphia. There's one out there called Linville Orchards that the amount of, it's a lot of bakery products and a lot of jarred goods and things like that. The amount of people they draw, and B, what they charge for what they're selling, it really amazes me. But there's pockets like our area, you have our area across, the southern part of Pennsylvania. There's not as many of them if you go north of us into coal country and stuff like that. A big area for it is New Jersey. If you continue sort of draw a line from Philadelphia to Atlantic City.
Okay.
I'll say 2/3 of the way towards Philadelphia, there's a huge pocket of them. And again, it's drawing that Philadelphia crowd. You've got millions of people in the city and they want to go out and experience,
they want to experience an agricultural experience, and they want to buy products that they know they can't get in a big chain grocery store.
Exactly. And we get it also up not North Jersey, but north of Princeton. You start to draw that New York City type. But there's a lot of spots.
It's just funny because when you brought it up and I started to think about it when we were talking, it's in my head I'm going well, I just kind of take them for granted that they're just, I can hit 5 of them on the way home. If I want to, but that's a big thing for people who don't have access to that, in their town.
Yeah. Well, not only that, it was an opportunity for us for growth. So it was, I talked about us hiring 2 people who really grew our business. They were both very grocery store focused.
Okay.
And I not to pat myself on the back, but I started looking around at okay, we have these competitors. There's one that pops into my mind that every time they tried to sell to one of my grocery stores, we would beat them across the board and everything. But I'm looking and I'm these guys have 25 trucks on the road. They've got a brand new building. I've heard about their owner. He's got a house in Florida, stuff like, who is he selling to? Right. Where's this money coming from? And that is a big part of it. It's the farmers markets, it's the agritourism and stuff like that. So I'll be honest, they still are a more well-rounded company to deal with those places than we are. But I started being like, where can I get a piece of that action? Right. And
and you already had a name in the area.
Yeah.
Like, so, the Weaver's name, this will just be, I'm not trying to flatter anyone, but like, this too, you probably hear it. Like when we go to a family event and someone has, the little bologna in it's like on the shrink wrap tube. And like, I know I'm going to be hitting that. Like, I'm going to eat that. And I'm going to hammer it hard. But like, it's exciting when you see that. And it's become, I think, such a staple for people in our area that like, it's almost a traditional thing. Like, well, we're going to get the Weavers of Wellsville product for, this occasion. And like, at least with my family, is like, it's always in our fridge.
Yeah.
And now that I think when I was younger, you didn't see it nearly as accessible in grocery stores, or just, I can go get it in a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Now it's just so easy to get. So it's fun for me to see it. Like, man, that used to be like hard to get. Yeah. Not for me, because
I get what you're saying. Yeah,
like, it was, you had to go out of your way to get it. Now it's much more accessible. So it's exciting to me because I'm like, I know it's good. I trust the name. They're local, and like, I'm gonna have it at my gathering. So it's cool that it's become like your brand name, and it's through all the work that you just explained. Like, the Weaver's brand name has become a staple in Central PA. I think people recognize it as like, this is gonna be a good product.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. No, I'm not trying to flatter it.
No,
like,
no.
It truly is.
The type of stories we hear. So we just either May or June, we over the summer, we got our sticks placed into every single Wise market. That was our first big chain wide on a major chain. I mean, we're chain wide on your 5 and 10 store chains, but and we're getting all kinds of messages of people from areas, that might have used to live in this area, that it's, hey, guess what just showed up?
I just found it at my store.
Yeah. And actually the marketing company that we use is they're up in the Lehigh Valley. And it was a whole thing. They were more local, and they split up, and the person who took our account, who we went with when they split up, lives up in the Lehigh Valley. But I was getting all kinds of texts from her, like, why didn't you tell me that you guys are in all these and stuff? And she's like, here they are, they're in my store. I'm like, so yeah, it's nice to hear.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
And like I said, regionally, it's a recognized brand. And I think it's kind of similar when you say it that way, where you're like, well, there's people that moved out of the area and now they see it again. It's similar to, I'll use like a beer reference, like Yuengling. Yeah. You used to only be able to buy Yuengling in like a 150 mile circle or so. I'm making the number up, but it was very regional. And then, as they grew and got bigger, like, you can get it in Texas now. Like, we travel and you see it everywhere now.
Well, I was in college when it came to South Carolina, and everybody was so excited. And I don't get me wrong, I like Yuengling. It's not the first thing,
but it's like the standard around.
Yeah, it's not the first thing I reach for. And all of my friends in college were so excited to be able to get Yuengling at the grocery store. Yeah. And I'm like, I mean, cool guys, but like,
it's like it's like going to Hershey Park. You're like, well, it's in my backyard.
Exactly. So
yeah. No, it's amazing. And it's cool to see a brand kind of break out of its shell like that. And it doesn't happen like, the snap of a finger. That's a lot of work. A lot of years go into that.
Oh yeah.
But there's still probably things that are part of Weavers of Wellsville that, like, I don't even know. I'll throw this out there.
No, throw it out, dude.
Like, if your great-great-grandfather or Jacob Weaver came back, are there things, maybe not physically that he would see, but process-wise, or anything that you do now that really hasn't changed much since the beginning? It might be this part of, a small part of your business, but there's still parts of it that are like at the core similar to how it got its origins, basically.
Well, so one thing we do, I don't want to say all of our smoke products, but there's a good bit of the products that we smoke that we still do in an outdoor smokehouse,
like a wood fire,
wood fire, cinder block room. I don't know how many companies are doing that. I know of one other one that's like that, and I'm pretty connected within the food world. There's a lot that are doing it to sell in their own store. So you might have the smokehouse in the back, and then you have a store out front, and you're doing it like
it's like a small batch.
Yes, exactly. As far as I know, in our immediate area, Seltzers is the only one that's doing it on a mass production scale. Now I had to call them out. They were at the farm show a couple of years ago, and they said they were the only one in Pennsylvania doing it. And
you're like, well, hang on.
Well, yeah, and I distribute for them. I'm like, hey, guys, you gotta. But so
that was a marketing person.
Yeah. It was it was actually the guy that we had dealt with at the time, and he was, fun guy. But I gave him a few choice words about saying that on News 8 or whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't want to sit here and say that we're the only two, but I haven't seen others that are doing that.
It's not common.
Yeah, it's not common. And
Is that because it's as these businesses have grown, it's quicker and easier, probably more economical to just do like the chemical flavoring or like a injected flavoring?
So it's not an injected or chemical flavoring. You could still do real, and we do, all of our products are real wood smoked.
Okay.
We don't do any sort of like.
No, not for you.
No. But okay. I'll get to that.
Okay. Sorry.
So we have 7 stainless steel smokehouses that are inside. And the way those work is you put sawdust, like a hickory sawdust into a chamber, and it is a real fire. Like, and that's extremely common. I mean, there's, we're sitting right here. We had mentioned Kessler's, Brother and Sister Foods. There's, from where we're sitting, there's probably 5 places, within a 30-minute drive that are doing real wood smoke products like that.
Okay.
I would say the biggest thing comes down to consistency. My indoor smokehouses are all computerized. I push a button, I walk away, I come back, it's done. It probably is more economical for us to do the outdoor smokehouses because they're cheaper. They're in the block. The one thing we've heard over the years is that insurance companies are very skeptical to let anyone build them. In a large way. So that's a big thing. And also we're under USDA inspection. And we're also going for some further certifications with food safety and stuff like that. They don't have the documentation to prove it. How do I put this properly? An individual inspector can come out and they can say, okay, I'm watching your process. I'm seeing that everything's cooking to the right temperatures. I'm seeing that you've got everything sanitized. It's not touching everything like that. But I can't go back and point to a large study of 40 facilities where it shows that all of this is the right. So we think that they get skeptical of it as well.
It's just because it's not documented. So
exactly. So it's so like I say, if you as an individual are tasked with coming to me or to Seltzers and saying like, is what they're doing safe? You would point out, yes, everything they're doing is safe, but it's very hard to have a wide scale policy because there's so few of us doing it.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay. So then you're kind of stuck doing not the outdoor stuff, but you're confined to doing a certain way just because of basically regulation.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, it's fine. But then there's also brands though that get away, I'm sure have gotten away from any kind of traditional way of adding that flavor to it.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
There's a lot of liquid smoke out there and stuff like that. We're lucky in central Pennsylvania, there is a lot of a lot more traditional flavors and stuff like that.
It is crazy how you said there's like 5 or so within whatever, a 35-minute drive of us. Like, what did I hear? I think I heard it because it's like farm show week too, kicking up. Yeah. And I was listening to Fox 43 in the morning. I think it was this morning. It's definitely this week where they said like Central PA is the snack food capital of the world. But like I think in general, like it's a food manufacturing hub. Like there's a ton of food produced here.
I mean, this is all anecdotal type stuff. Again, depending on who's listening, someone will jump in from another area and say, that's not true. But like, get outside of our area and just look at chip brands. Like you might have a local chip brand. You don't have 10 local chip brands. Hot dogs.
And they're all national now.
Exactly. Like, yeah. Well, and hot dogs is another one. Like you sit around here, you go into a store around here and just of the large companies you see, Hatfield, Burke's, Kunzler, those are 3, I'll say central Eastern Pennsylvania brands that are in every supermarket for a few hundred miles around us. Yeah. Then you start to get into your, Sechrist Brothers down in Dallastown. You've got Kessler's that's right out the road here. You've got, I'm going to just draw blanks on it, but there's
a bunch.
Yeah, there's a bunch. Whereas there's a lot of parts of the country where, you've got your ones that are owned by Tyson Food. You've got your Ballpark Frank, your Nathan's,
Oscar Mayer's got
Yes, exactly. Oscar Mayer, but there isn't anything that's like a local. And I feel like it was fairly late in my career that I even came to that realization. Like it's not normal to have a bunch of different like.
Well, we're in a rich region. Like it's still a heavy agricultural region, which I think lends itself to the production of food products. Like it's just it's quick to ship to the places that are making it because we have a lot of agriculture here that's producing it. Like you don't have a lot of areas that are. There's a couple layers to it. So like one, we have at the bottom, we have a lot of farms, a lot of agriculture. That's feeding a lot of these places that produce these foods. And the top of it is we're in an area that's very fortunate as far as distribution to get to a lot of high traffic areas. So
that's where I was going to go to next.
It's not hard to go from farm to a shelf relatively quick in our area, just because it's literally a couple miles off your driveway. You can be on the interstate and going to DC or going somewhere else.
Well, and within a 12-hour driving day, just think of the types of places you can get to from here. You can get to Atlanta, New York, Boston, Chicago.
You cover almost the whole East Coast.
Detroit, into the Midwest and stuff like this. That's why the Carlisle area is so full of warehouses. You consistently hear people upset that our warehouses are popping up around here, but I'm this is the place that it makes sense. If you want a hub business that can touch, and there are statistics out there where there is. From Carlisle, there's a huge percentage of the population of the country that you can hit, because kind of like the Pittsburgh type thing. You get west of Ohio, there's nothing until you get California north.
Oh yeah, have you ever driven Midwest?
Yeah, exactly. And
sad,
but there's areas around the country that are like that are those jumping off points. So you're looking at Carlisle, you're looking at like the Knoxville, Tennessee area, kind of strands out across the south in that way. Michigan's a big one because you start to touch up into Minnesota, which is a little farther to hit from here. And
there's some points that are harder to hit. Without having a stop in between.
But if you get around Detroit, like Warren, Michigan, I was in on a beautiful trip to Warren, Michigan a few weeks ago. But there's warehouse after warehouse after warehouse, and you're like, these people can probably jump off to Kansas City whereas we can't reach quite that far in a day.
But it's still a hell of a lot of population that we can get to within a half a day.
And we are one of those places. You don't want to set up a distribution hub in Boston or Miami because you're pinned in where you can only go one direction, and hit population. You want to be centrally located, like we're the Keystone State. That is our history here.
No, it's amazing. So let's get back to Weavers real quick. So we'll kind of put a bow on it. What do you think moving back into Weaver? So you covered your story of kind of where you started. You were a kid working in there, till you were old enough to kind of realize I want to take this on as part of what I can do to help the business. You've been in it for what you said, 13 years now professionally, including anything that you saw evolving up to this point that's changed, and kind of going forward, where do you see that industry, whether it's just Weavers or just, that industry in general, changing with either technology getting better or just things that you see coming, with population growth in our area? I mean, like Dillsburg's getting big now. So you're going to have needs and be able to scale to handle production as volume hopefully goes up for you guys too. So what do you see kind of evolving in the next few years in that industry, specifically for Weavers, that'll probably change that business?
So, and this has been, I don't want to even say this has been evolving. This has been going on for probably 10 to 15 years, but there has been, any industry kind of goes in cycles, and it feels like we're in a cycle where people are looking for food with a story. Or you see it in its most extreme ways of like the people who are like, I'm only eating from within 30 miles, and that customer base is there. But
it's like the farm to table.
And that is a big thing. It's a louder customer base than an actual, bottom line type customer base. But there are these movements towards like rejecting the major companies. Now, again, at the end of the day, you look at the numbers. Sure, people are rejecting the major companies, but
they're still selling it.
Yes, exactly. Tyson, Walmart, and all those guys are still. But you are finding that customer base that's looking for a little more of a connection. So that's kind of what I'll pivot off of Weavers and say that's kind of what Locals Market came into as. You're seeing a lot of the growth in the grocery store business in these places like Aldi and Lidl, where it's more convenient, less service oriented, and the industry absolutely is going in that direction. But there's sort of the theory, not theory, it's a reality. Even if 80% of the population feels one way, if every business rushes in that direction, then there's a big chunk of the market that's out there.
Leaves a gap.
People who go in the other direction. And that was sort of our thought with Locals. Obviously, places like Wegmans exist and thrive for a reason.
Right.
And they're very
and we're not going to beat them.
Yes.
Like
Exactly. But they're there, and you go into a town with a Wegmans. That town also has an Aldi. That town might have a Lidl, possibly has a Trader Joe's, which Trader Joe's is very good with customer interaction service, but you're serving yourself there. The cashier is the only person you're interacting with there. There are still those people who, you grew up in a farmer's market. They want to watch the person slice their meat. They want to talk to the person. They want to converse with the cashier.
I was going to say that's the key is there's a lot of people, and I think it changed. So I watched this happen as well. When I was younger, it always felt like it was just like, I'm going to make anyone mad by this, but I'm going to say it, like the old white hairs.
Yep.
Like they would come to the counter. They talk to my grandfather for who knows how long. And they talk about everything, the football games, they talk about whatever but then they were buying from someone who they had a connection with. And so I think part of it was, yes, they needed those products, but they also came because it was like part of their ritual. Every Friday they'd come, or every other day they'd come get whatever. And it was a community thing as well. I always used to just feel like it was an older generation that did it. But now that I think I'm getting into that, I'm getting older now. We're both getting older, and I see people our age now that are also yearning for, like, I know where my products come from. I have a connection with the person I'm buying them from. Especially if it's food. Like, there's a lot of people that want something where they know it came from. Yeah, it was made local. I can call or I can message the person I got it from to ask a question or whatever. Like, there starts to be a connection. I don't want everyone texting you either to ask you questions about it, but there is, I think, especially post-COVID, I don't want to bring that up, but the last 5 years, there's been a big swing back to like, well, I would rather get that from the guy down the road than big box store. Like it's changed a lot in the last probably 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, it absolutely has. And so actually, another piece of my history, I got an MBA in food marketing from St. Joe's in Philadelphia. And that was really great because I was networking with a lot of food industry people. That's sort of like the, I'll put in my plug. That is the gold standard of like food marketing for the Mid-Atlantic. Like, if you've got a connection to St. Joe's in the food world, people know what's up there. The Hulk will never die, but there was a lot of talk, and we got almost like joking, calling it like the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, the people. And it is, a lot of market research is focused on upper middle income and up, like this isn't something where I'm saying like the entire population is rushing for that type of stuff, because you do still have, again, places like Walmart turning their profits. It's because for a lot of people, the fact is you're looking for the best price. Now,
right. I got 4 mouths to feed and I got to get the most for my money. Yeah.
Now we at Locals, we do try to always have something, we watch our pricing. I will flat out say it. When you look at our everyday pricing in our meat and deli case versus the two major retailers in our area, you'll find less than 10% of the products we're on a regular daily price they're beating us. Okay. So we understand people still need a deal. Now they'll beat us on ads. They'll run something real special. But I'm off on a tangent. Where was I going with this? We were talking about people wanting a connection to their food again, having it part of their.
You were talking about how you.
So
you had your marketing, food marketing degree.
And that was where we talked about like it is this shift back to people want to, people who have the ability to do it, like going to a few different places, and where I see it drawing back to is social media driven. The sort of evolving out of like the cooking shows when we were kids, it was Emerald and that type of stuff. People want to talk about what they're making with something.
Yeah.
And I do see the grocery industry struggling with the center store items because everybody gets their Target, Amazon, Walmart, dropped right on your door.
Yeah.
But I still see a large portion of the population who, even if it's not so much saying that, hey, I know who produced that food, it's I want to go pick it out myself. I want to feel it before I buy it. I want to see it. And I want to talk to somebody behind the counter and say, one of the biggest populations that we do well with at our butcher shop at Weavers of Wellsville is smoking at home. That's become huge. Everybody's got a Traeger, a Pit Boss, or Green Egg, something like that. Those people want to come in. They want to talk to you about what rub they use. They want to ask you what rub you're using. They want to talk to you about how they cut their meat.
What's the best kind of meat to do with this?
You go fat side down, fat side up. And then I'm going to argue with you whether your way's right or wrong. But my broader thing is that food is a community thing. Look at like an Anthony Bourdain. He made his career out of showing how food brings people together.
Right.
And my wife and I love to travel. Everywhere we go, we try to stop in at a little butcher shop, a little bakery, a little restaurant that's because it is something that everyone in the world eats. So if you want a conversation starter, you could start a conversation with food and with somebody in Azerbaijan. If you want.
It's as common as talking about the weather.
Exactly.
That's what it is.
Yeah, and it allows that social aspect. For the type of customer that's looking for that.
Yeah.
So
it's amazing the number of food guests I've had on the podcast, and they all come back to that common thing, whether it's we're talking about coffee or we're talking about ice cream or whatever the business is. Like, it is always a central theme of bringing people together at some point, whether it's at the dinner table or for ice cream. Everyone goes out, everyone loves to go get ice cream.
Exactly.
But like food always at the end of the day is a way to bring people together, or as a pleasure item. Like, I'm going to treat myself to that, whether it's meat sticks or you're going to go get a coffee.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
It's cool that you're doing all of these things, but at the end of the day, you're still providing sustenance for people, and it's giving them something to talk about with their family. Like I brought it back to New Year's Day. We had a Weavers of Wellsville stick, and I was pumped. Like, it brings you back to a common denominator.
Exactly. And when, with all of that being said, it takes, the distribution company of Weavers of Wellsville. I just want to make this statement. We deal with independent retailers, and we try to support those independent retailers and give them ideas to allow them to thrive. You will always hear about consolidation in the business, and it is happening. Yeah. I mean, it's there's always independent stores being bought out by chain stores. But even in my short time, it's almost like a wildfire. Like, you'll see I shouldn't say, like, you'll see a local chain of 5 to 10 stores get wiped out because Giant or Wise comes in and buys them.
Right.
Those customers don't go away. And I'll give a great story in Lancaster County. Some of my favorite customers that I deal with. There was a chain called Darren Camp's Markets. They had 4 stores. They were made a great offer, and I still keep in touch with some of the owners there. They sold their stores to Giant, and I think they only kept one of them as a Giant. The other ones were sort of on the doorsteps of Giant. And they closed down, but a couple of things happened in the 3 or 4 years after they closed. The first was one of their higher managers went to a little like country store, like Lancaster County bulk food type place, put in a meat case, put in a deli there, and grew that out to being one of my best customers. Now I'll put in a plug, the country store in Mountjoy. Great.
And they're probably doing awesome.
They do an awesome business. Another one of their higher up managers had family in a little store called Zwires Market in Lebanon. And he went up there and he helped to modernize that store. And so, he grew that store. Carnes Food bought the one Darren Camp's Market after its non-compete thing was up. And now that's one of their most thriving stores. So it's like, these places do get bought out. And obviously that's what keeps me up at night is my customers being bought out.
Yeah.
At the same time, it just always feels like,
there's new opportunity.
Yes, there's new opportunity because food is a low barrier to entry type thing. Everybody has a base knowledge of food. It's something where sure you need the knowledge to make it work, but you're not starting up AI analytics company or something. Now
there's a fun story with the consolidation you were talking about. Newville had Sailors.
Yep. One of my favorite customers.
Man, I love Sailors. And I'll say this again. You don't go here because it's like a toxic pit.
Yeah.
But like the local community groups, I'm sure Dillsburg has one too, but the Newville community Facebook page or group, everyone on there who's been a Sailors customer forever was so mad. Like, oh, they can't believe it. Wise is going to ruin it. Whatever.
Yeah.
All these things. But it didn't. It's actually a better grocery store now. And for whatever you think of Wise or anyone thinks of Wise, they are a larger chain, but they kept the store almost the same. I mean, it might change as it goes on. It's only been a year, but they brought in more products. There's more availability there. And, at the end of the day, Newville got a better product out of it, while relatively remained pretty much the same. So there's good and bad with these things too.
Well, I don't know if I'm overstepping by saying this, but right outside of town, you've got the Country Butcher Shop and then what used to be North Mountain Butcher Shop, now Rock Run Butcher Shop. I don't want to speak for them and claim that their business is up. My sales to both of them are up, as a distributor, because that person who wants that personal thing, like they're going out and they're finding something else.
Yeah.
It's elevated these other local businesses.
It's like the side effects of things you don't know what's going to happen when there's a consolidation or a big move like that. But the ripple effect is usually not as bad as people expect it to be. And sometimes it's better than you expected it to be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's crazy. Anyway, yeah, it's cool. You have all these connections. Like they're in my area too.
Well, Sailors was one of my, the first thing, when I say I got into business development, the first thing I did was take over a couple customers from my dad. And it was like the old loyal customers, like Sailors Market.
Nell's Sure Fine.
Yep. I had the Nell's, I had Mutza Balls up in Duncannon. Those were like these old names that people,
Yeah. Well, hey, I miss them, but I also like progress too. So I understand there needs to be both.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that was two owners who they ran a great business. They had
forever,
and they were ready to retire. Let them retire. You know what I mean?
Listen, the Sailors family. Yeah, if I was in their shoes, like, and I'm that age, I'm going to do it. I'm going to cash out. I'm going to do what I have to do.
Unless you have a one that's, I mean, my dad even said that about our company. If my brother and I had come out of school, gone to school for something else, he probably would have started looking at what it looks like to sell the company. Yeah. And right now, between my brother and I, we have 4, he has 3 kids. I have 1. And that day might come where if none of them want to go into it, we'll see. We'll see. And there's 2 directions you can go. You can sell, or you can sell it to your employees. A lot of great small businesses I've seen where they, transitioned it to employee owned or something like that.
They turn it into like an ESOP or something.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, when I'm 70 years old, I hope there's people coming behind me.
Yeah. But by then you'll have a whole different team too.
Exactly.
Like it'll look wildly different. So, and who knows what will happen by then.
Exactly. Yeah.
But nice. All right. So I got a couple fun ones and we'll wrap up. It's been almost an hour. This is awesome.
No, this is great.
So real quick, these are more. I just need to know. What's your favorite product that you guys have? Like if you had to pick one, I'm like, this is all I'm going to eat. This is what I want.
Oh, see your caveat at the end threw it off.
You got to eat. You got to want it. This is your favorite one that you're going to.
Let's say my favorite one that I'm going to serve is going to be our hot pickled ring bologna. It's one of our worst selling items because it's like people don't really take a shot on it. Yeah. That is
hot pickled ring bologna.
Hot pickled ring bologna.
Okay.
It's a spicy ring bologna soaked in apple cider vinegar. That is my favorite item. Your caveat of what if it was the only one you could eat? I mean, it's the type of thing you're not going to eat every day necessarily. If it's the only one you could eat, I'm probably just going with our traditional butcher bologna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, do you guys still do I don't know if we hit on this. Do you do processing for people who do bring in their own?
We do a lot of deer.
That's what deer
processing. Yep. That's
so like you just came through a real busy season of deer processing. And I know that is probably this big of a part of your business as far as like the scale of what you do, but it is everyone I know is like, oh, I take it to Weavers. A lot of people do.
So it's a tiny part of our business. It's probably the most profitable thing we do, honestly. Yeah. It's something you're already geared up to do it in a big way.
And everyone around here that hunts knows that people take it there.
That's what I was going to say. It is a big commercial for our place is that people have that, they feel that connection because of that.
Yeah. And they stop in the store and they're
exactly. Yeah. Yep. So that's been a big building point of our store. So
nice. I just had to bring that up just because,
that's a big part of it.
And I've enjoyed plenty of meat sticks that came out of the same place too. So it's great. And then just to wrap up, kind of like, what is your favorite thing just about being part of Weavers of Wellsville, whether it's working with the community? Because I know you guys, I was doing a little bit of looking around, like you're involved with things with Northern and you're doing things in your local community more than just selling.
Yeah.
But whether it's your community efforts or just whatever, like what at the end of the day or at the beginning of the day, when you get up where you're like, all right, this is why I'm doing this.
So I have a little part of a speech that I give to, I have a canned answer ready for this type of thing. Okay. And it's usually because I speak to high school students and stuff, and they always hit me with what's your favorite and least favorite part of your job. And the answer to both of those is the people. I love the people I get to interact with. I love going out and seeing, working with independent stores. I'm working with a lot of people who they're either carrying on a family legacy or they're building their own legacy themselves. And you get to see like what excites them, what are they into, stuff like that. I get to go to food shows and interact with people who are making this, one little type of sauce, but they're trying to get it in nationwide. People from local producers around here to like some of the real big TikTok stars like Dano's Seasoning. I've met Dano. Those types of people.
Yeah.
So I love seeing what excites other people. I love interacting with people.
And that connection.
Connection. And what I always say is that the same token, 2 or 3 people can ruin your whole week. 2 or 3 of the wrong people, negative people can ruin your whole week. But no, I love seeing small business and seeing what excites other people.
So. A lot of innovation too. You see stuff that you're like, I would have never thought to do that.
Food in general it's so, I don't want to say it's so easy because it's so hard to make it in the food world. But there's there's almost no barrier to entry. The amount of these places that started in their kitchen, mixing sauce in their kitchen, is
it's some guy at a smoker, at his own home smoker, and he's got his green egg, and he's like, I'm gonna try and make my own sauce. And it becomes something over a decade. It becomes a brand.
Well, and that's what I mentioned. Dano's Seasoning. I don't know how familiar you are with them, but they're a TikTok superstar, and all it is a guy who just mixed up seasonings. It's like, hey, this is good, and it's low salt and stuff in it. Now for every Dano, there are 10,000 people who did the same thing and never got anywhere.
Yeah, well, that's just like any. I mean, you talk about. This is a whole different spinoff. I'll keep it very short. Like when I talk to kids like my wife's a teacher.
Okay.
And she'll say like, oh, the number one thing kids I don't know if they still do, but they used to say like, oh, I want to be a YouTube star. It's the same deal. Like, well, for every 100,000 kids that want to become a YouTube star, like one's going to be a YouTube star. Well, same deal.
I have a comment on that when we did I go back and speak at St. Joe's University too, and we were part of a project, a food marketing project with the undergraduates there. And they gave us some really good insight into a product we were launching. But every presentation talked about social media. And it wasn't in a way of like, here's how you should get it. I had one guy look me square in the eye and he goes, so we were looking around and like, you have some national competitors, and it was either Jack Links or Tillamook or something. He goes, they have 500,000 followers on TikTok and you have about 1,000. And like, I just think if you push to get closer to their number, you guys can be successful. And I'm like, oh, that's all
that easy.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'll go back this week and do it.
Yeah. Okay. I'll just go get 500,000 followers real quick and we'll get there. So yeah.
Oh man. If I told my social team that their heads would spin.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, Brett.
We're trying to encourage these students. I'm sitting there like nodding, like, hey, really good project, man. And I walk in the room, man, that guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and that's fine. And you can have a small following and still do very well with what you have.
Yeah, so, But obviously, you want to grow it. It's right. It's how do you grow that?
Right, and being realistic.
Yeah. So
nice. Well, hey, thank you for coming on. I'm sure we could talk for another hour or two, but no, I do appreciate it. This was a fun one, and like I said, I always have loved Weaver's brand, so I was excited to come in and have you talk with me.
All right,
awesome.
Thank you.